What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. And I am promising, like a lot of you guys, the rankings. You know, I had just got wind that Andy Ruiz could put himself in a mandatory position if he beats Luis Ortiz. Okay, and as I was explaining that and breaking it down, I promised you guys that I will talk about Deontay Wilder and explain how did he get to become the #1 WBC. Okay, as we guys see here, we have Deontay Wilder at the WBC. Okay, and it's crazy because we have Deontay Wilder still there. And Deontay Wilder was the heavyweight champion of the world on the WBC end until it was taken from him by the hands of Tyson Fury. And the question you have from the WBC, how is he still there? How is the flag still standing for Deontay Wilder when he was just beaten? His last two fights, the third fight was an arbitration demanding. It wasn't really even a WBC mandatory. The mandatory was supposed to have been Tyson Fury. Okay, so when Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury, that was supposed to have been a mandatory position, which he's supposed to fulfill his mandatory obligations against Dominic Breazeale. Okay, so when Wilder knocked out Dominic Breazeale, then Dillian Whyte's opportunity to become mandatory was snatched from him and was given in return to Tyson Fury. Well, Tyson Fury stopped Deontay Wilder in the 7th round, as you know, the towel was thrown in and all that stuff, and the arbitration came about, and he lost again. Well, what doesn't make sense is, why is Wilder still the #1 mandatory? Okay. And to explain that, there is no explanation. There's no reason why Deontay Wilder shouldn't be #1. Maybe number 4 or 5. Maybe at 5. Maybe he should be 5 and Andy Ruiz should be 6 and Aslanbek Makhmadov should be 7. Dillian Whyte 8. Luis Ortiz 9. And Otto Wallin 10. All right. And it's bad because it just shows you the corruption of boxing. Well, let's specify this, the corruption of the WBC, because this is the WBC belt we're talking about. This is the WBC rankings we're talking about. So this is where it's at, and we have to pinpoint it as we go along, and there is no explanation. And to justify why Wilder's still there is because Wilder is a marquee name. Wilder is very deep within the WBC. Wilder was protected for years by the WBC because they did not mandate a fight for Deontay Wilder and Dillian Whyte. That fight should have already happened, regardless of who I thought won. I don't think that's the point, because I thought Wilder could always beat Dillian Whyte because of the delivery of their best punches. Okay, but that had nothing to do with the legitimacy and fairness of why he didn't fight him. He didn't fight him because he didn't want to, and nobody made him fight him. The sanctioning body didn't make him fight. Dillian Whyte had 1,000-year waiting until he got, and he was the interim champion, so he still paid sanctioning fees. So this was about money. And Mauricio, I feel, got accustomed to getting those sanctioning fees from both fighters. Dillian Whyte, which is the interim champion, or was the interim champion, and Deontay Wilder, which was the champion. So why would he care if Dillian Whyte didn't fight or not if he was still getting paid by Dillian Whyte? Okay, Dillian might have ruffled some feathers, talked some shit, but still he was still paying. He was still paying that money to be in that position of the interim champion. Okay, so this just shows Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder again. Not only should he not be there, he shouldn't be #1 at all. Okay? he should be the last person that should be number one. All these people, Joey Joyce, Joseph Parker, Frank Sanchez, Andrew Ruiz, Aslanbek Markbanov, Luis Ortiz even, because I think Luis Ortiz is supposed to be over Dillian White because Dillian White has lost. Okay, so they just made this shit up as they went, but none of it matters because it's not right anyway, because Wilder shouldn't be at the top. So if Wilder's not at the top, and Wilder was appointed or just placed in position there due to the fact of his credibility and popularity, well, that meant all of them should. That meant every one of these guys are just put in a certain place. I don't even think any of these places are actually legit. Okay, I don't think any of these guys deserve to be where they're at. At all. You know, because if you look at Robert Helenius is at number 10. But it's like, it's crazy because it's like, okay, well, Roberts won his last 3-4 fights. Wilder has lost his last 2. Okay? So it's crazy. Luis Ortiz, he beat Charles Martin, but he was knocked out by Deontay Wilder twice. Okay? So Deontay Wilder's supposed to be where Luis Ortiz is at right now, either 8 or 9. He should be right there with him somewhere. So Dillian White, Deontay Wilder, and Luis Ortiz are all supposed to be right there. You know what I'm saying? So, again, to explain that, you have to ask the WBC, how the hell is Deontay Wilder there? Because there's no explanation on why he's number 1. Okay, and that's fair and honest. You know, and if the WBC wants to clean up their reputation, they need to really start taking control of the way they do things over there. Because people that follow the sport, people that know how rankings work, people that know what's supposed to go down versus what's going down, it makes them look like a bunch of crooks. The WBC, we be crooks, is what you think of the first time you hear about or hear the word, or, you know, the WBC itself. Once you hear that, you don't think of World Boxing Council, something's wrong. They need to clean up their act over there, and there's no reason Deontay Wilder should be number 1. They're only thinking about dollars and not about integrity. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Deontay Wilder being number 1 once again, despite being beat twice back-to-back. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!